Sean Fitzgerald here from the dugout in Durban North. This is Trend News. Today being Human Rights Day, which is 21st of March, I thought I'd do an article on what happened at Sharpeville. This is the day that is set aside for what happened there. In 1960, the PAC ordered all black male South Africans to go to all the police stations in South Africa and go there without their dorm passes. This is a pass that a black man in those days had to carry around with them, and they had to produce it on demand by any policeman that stopped them anywhere. And what happened at Sharpeville is all these black men went there and they demanded to be arrested because they actually went to demand to be arrested because they didn't have their dorm passes, and the police panicked and 69 people were killed. So let's just go through this article. Okay, here's some South African info. This is a heritage history site. Sharpeville, remembering our human rights. Okay, Human Rights Day, 21st of March, is a national holiday celebrating the sacrifices of ordinary South Africans have made for their freedom. On this day in 1960, about 5,000 people gathered outside the police station in Sharpeville, a township. The crowd was peaceful but demanding to be arrested for disobeying the human pass laws. Instead, the police guns blazed and 69 people were died. So they actually went there, like I said in the beginning, and they went there without their pass books, without their dorm passes, and asked to be arrested because of that. So what actually happened on that day? With hindsight, the story is simple. The PAC, which is the Pan-Africanist Congress, which was 16 days short of his first birthday, had called on African men to leave their passbooks at home, go to the nearest police station and demand to be arrested for not carrying the dorm pass. The apartheid laws humiliated African men in particular. Every African male over the age of 16 had to carry the dorm pass day and night and produce it on demand by the police. Failure to produce and forgetting the pass at home or not having the right step meant arrest or jail. Wow, can you imagine if we lived like that today? Okay, interesting here at the end here. New country, new constitution. The ANC-led government chose Sharpeville as the venue to launch South Africa's new constitution, signed by its first democratically elected president, Mr. Nelson Mandela, on the 8th of May 1996. That's the article. That's the history of Sharpeville. You'll get my thoughts after this. Yeah. Well, you know, you still can't believe today that people, besides the massacre of 69 people, it's difficult to believe today that people were actually forced, based on the color of their skin, to carry around this pass, and if they didn't have the correct stamp on it, or the pass, or they didn't have it, they were arrested for this. I mean, it's crazy for us today, right? We can't believe that sort of thing would actually, we'd enforce laws like that on people. And the funny thing is that, the thing is that, yes, you can, because we're involved today. Remember, we don't think like we used to think in those days. Things were very different. There was no technology. They didn't have phones. They hadn't evolved. Information wasn't readily available. And remember that the white government of those days and the white people of those were still very colonial in their thinking. It hadn't been long before that. They just come out of the Second World War. Black Americans were still, you know, even though they banned slavery in 1865, they had that big war, and then the Americans, with Martin Luther King and all that, I think in 1965, he marched because even though the laws in America allowed blacks to go everywhere, there was a hidden law that didn't allow them to go anywhere. They weren't allowed still on the buses, even though it was crazy in America, and they still practiced that in America. So you can understand that the white government here was very much in that type of thinking as well. Very much in that type of thinking. And you sometimes think to yourself, wow, you know, can you believe? Yes, you can. And another reason you can, I mean, could you believe that they still had public executions 150 years ago, where people didn't think twice about going to a public execution and paying for it and going and watching somebody getting their heads cut off? These were in the European countries. And you can't believe it today. You look back and you think, oh, this is, you know, how do you... But you understand the mentality and the thinking. Those people weren't as evolved as us today. They didn't know any better. And when you know better, you then start... I can promise you now, in 100 years' time, our people that 100 years from now will look back at us and think of the death penalty and the things we did today, and they think, sheesh, how the hell did they ever? But we think today it's naturally normal. There's a lot of atrocities we do today which we think is normal because we don't know better. So just when you look back, you can't believe it. It's shocking. But the most important thing of Sharpeville, let that ever happen ever again. Not just the massacres, the massacre of all those people, but also those types of laws that prohibit people based on their color, their skin, their racial preferences. It's just wonderful that we are moving away from all of that, and most of it is outlawed in all the countries around the world. Sean Fitzgerald from Trend News in the dugout in Durban North. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to bring you more of this trending news every day.